Hello and welcome to today's lecture. We're going to start getting ready for the Holy Season course that starts on Thursday. The Holy Season course is going to be 5 to 10 minutes every day, with the exception of perhaps one day, because we have 41 days of issuing traces of empty sounds of creation, toes of creation. And they will be introduced 2 per day, with the exception of the very first day, which introduces just 1. And that means we have 41 days of introducing these traces of empty sounds of creation, the toes of creation, these sacred sounds. And there are only 42 days remaining in the year, starting on Thursday. So it's going to be a busy time, but a very momentous, a very important time for all of us. So we're going to be getting ready for that. And I'll be giving you instructions over the next couple of days exactly how we're going to be doing this. It'll be on YouTube Live. I'll give you the time for each day that we're going to be doing this, how to best participate, what you'll need. You'll need your Song of the Spheres with you. And of course, we'll be recording it so that on any day that you're unable to participate live, you will be able to watch the recording and get the benefit that way. But this is important that it be done live, because Lantos made it clear to Cindy that we couldn't record this ahead of time. Cindy had to be the one issuing the sounds, and it had to be done live, and it had to be broadcast worldwide. So we're going to be presenting techniques for people in China to be able to watch, because they're not easily able to watch on YouTube. We're taking care of all of the technical issues to make sure that worldwide people will be participating live in this. As we get prepared for it, I want to make sure during today's lecture that you understand basic aspects of the toes of creation as well as the great wave, because that is what this holy season is all about. The great wave coming, arriving, the great wave spreading, dispersing the 81 toes of creation. What that means for the world, what it means for you personally. First, what are the toes of creation? Well, Master Teacher Toad introduced this to Cindy, and Lantos has spoken about it over the last couple of months extensively. He's referred to these as primordial sounds, as sonic absolutes. They are ways to enliven the seeds of creation, because all of creation comes from these toes of creation, these traces of empty sounds. In fact, when Cindy asked Lantos if we should, once we have all of the 81 toes of creation, the 81 sacred sounds, once we have those, should we then use those toes to enliven the 81 seeds instead of the seed phrases? We've been using seed phrases such as source of light, essence of light, sublime effulgence, and on like that. Should we then switch to these sacred sounds? And here's what Lantos said. Yes. It will be good to use the sacred sounds to enliven the seeds. These primordial sounds reside on the early layer of existence and contain great energy and intelligence. So this is going to become a part of your daily routine. We've been doing the I Am seeds in the morning, the Inception, Appellation, and Mission seeds in the morning, along with the daily seed. We've been doing the reflective seeds at night. We'll continue to do the same, just we're going to be using the toes of creation, these sacred sounds. Now, what about the great wave? The great wave disperses the toes of creation, but what more do we know about the great wave? Well, I read a message to you a few weeks ago from Lantos in which he introduced the great wave. I'll tell you just briefly, I'll give you some excerpts from this message. Lantos said, the great wave. This is the process of creation. The process of fullness, the limitless source, rising up in its quest to find emptiness, its search for boundaries. It is a search for boundaries within the boundless. As it curls onto itself, it discovers the great empty and scatters traces of empty. And traces of empty form the seeds of creation. 81 seeds of creation. The source of existence is located within the empty value discovered by fullness. This is the process of creation. There is none other. This is the story of the great wave and the scattering of the sacred toes. Emptiness is at the center of all form. Traces of empty scattered by the great power, the mighty force of fullness, knowing itself. When we speak of the almighty source of creation, we speak of the supreme governor of this sublime process. As the traces of empty scatter, sounds are issued. Sounds are issued as this primordial process of the great wave curls, and traces of empty scatter. These are the essential sounds of creation. These are the sacred toes. These sounds have been heard throughout time by those whose perception is fully awakened. Now is the time of the awakening of the empty to its nature as fullness. Empty must hear the sounds of the awakened value of fullness. So Lantos explained to Cindy the importance of these traces of empty, these toes of creation. A little bit later, Lantos gave Cindy a message in which he referred to this as an urgent period of time, and I spoke to you about that, and I gave you a message from Lantos in which he described what we each should be doing, each one of us, to help strengthen the great wave, to help bring in greater light, to help create the great star of Genesis during this period of time. Lantos said, enlivenment of the sacred sounds enlivens the great wave of creation. Enlivenment of the great wave supports the establishment of the golden form for Earth. This great wave is the process of creation. This process expresses its form as the golden form of creation. We are moving towards the establishment of the golden form on the physical, material layer of life. All activity, all energy is focused in this direction. So you'll remember that message that I read to you, where Lantos said that each one of us should be enlivening the toes of creation. Any sacred sounds that we have knowledge of, we should be enlivening every day. Now, for many of you, that means your moon seeds. Every evening before you go to bed, you've been enlivening your inception seed as well as your reflective seed using the sacred sounds that Cindy gave to you. And this is something that then we said you should try doing this several times each day as well as at night before going to bed, because enlivening those sacred sounds helps to strengthen and enliven the great wave of creation. Well, now we're getting the rest of the 81 seeds. And this is the importance for everyone. This is the importance for all of Earth, all of creation. Enlivening these toes of creation enlivens the great wave. The great wave expresses itself in form as the golden form. And this is our job, to help create the golden form, the great star of Genesis. Now, that benefit is obviously significant. It is the goal for all of creation. But as always, when Lantos has given us techniques to help everyone on Earth, to help everyone in creation, all of creation, there's also a personal benefit, a benefit for you, not just the benefit of living life with the presence of the great wave, living life in the radiance of the great star of Genesis. There's actually direct, specific personal benefits for you involving the toes of creation, these sacred sounds. When Lantos spoke to Cindy about this, he gave her some information, and then he said, you may be interested to know the functions of these personal sounds. He explained that of the 81 seeds, of all of these sacred sounds, these toes of creation, there are 24 sacred sounds most closely associated with each individual, with you. Those are grouped into 8 sets of 3 sounds. And that's what he's now referring to. He said, you may be interested to know the functions of these personal sounds. He calls them personal sacred sounds. The sounds come in sets of 3. 3 sounds are for love. 3 sounds are for health. 3 sounds are for abundance. 3 sounds are for power. 3 sounds will rid the individual from the energies of curse. 3 sounds are for education, and 3 sacred sounds are for the values of inception and reflection in this material expression of form. Very good, very good. Many blessings. So we have 8 sets: inception, reflection, education, success, love, abundance, health, and curse. Now, regarding health and curse, Master Teacher Todt spoke to Cindy about all of these, but then he gave extra information about health and curse. For health, Todt said, seed promoting and restoring balance on all layers influencing physical form. So the enlivenment of your health seed using the personal sacred sounds, the toes of creation for that seed, will impact every aspect of your physical health. For curse, Todt said this: the reflective value releases curse, addiction, trauma on the emotions, and forms of physical disability. So when we think, and I know that Lantos also in a message referred to some of the benefits of the curse seed, and he said that this would help with depression as well. So we see it's not, well, it may be exactly the classical definition of a curse, what we've learned about in stories and fairy tales and stuff like that about a curse, but what it is, Lantos explained, is the binding influence of negativity on an individual. Negativity comes into contact with you, it attaches itself to you, and it will then have a binding influence negatively impacting you in most cases for the rest of one's life. This is why many of these things, physical, well, what Todt said there, forms of physical disability, addiction, trauma, these things tend to bind someone, to negatively influence someone for their entire life or for the rest of their life from the moment that it begins. And so the enlivenment of the personal sacred sounds for removal of curse will be of significance to most people on earth. In fact, when you think of those 8 sets, they're all important. When Master Teacher Todt introduced those, you could have just said that those are the 8 most important areas of life for people. Once again, even if you don't know what inception and reflection mean, and we've gone over that in the past, so you know how important those 2 sets are. But education, success, love, abundance, health, the removal of the binding influence of negativity. That describes all of the most important areas in life. So there will be 8 seeds most closely associated, most closely related to you, to each individual on earth, and the way you enliven those seeds is with these personal sacred sounds, the personal toes of creation. So these 81 sacred sounds, well, 81 sets of 3 sacred sounds, these 81 toes of creation that will be introduced to the world beginning on Thursday, beginning on November 19th, the first day of the holy season for this year, these will be of great significance. Significant for all of creation with the creation of the golden form. Significant for all of creation with the enlivenment of the great wave. Significant for you personally with the ability to enliven your personal sacred sounds. Now we're going to talk more about these personal sacred sounds on Wednesday's lecture, and we're also going to talk more about the exact details of the Holy Season course including how you're going to watch it, when you're going to watch it. We know that it's going to be broadcast on YouTube Live, and it will be recorded. That means that you will get notified by YouTube. And this again will be for Wednesday's lecture. I'll go into the details on this. You have to, in order for YouTube to notify you as soon as we go live, you have to subscribe to our channel on YouTube and then ask to receive notifications of our videos on YouTube. Then, and you can of course at any time change that so that you're not notified. But if you want to make sure that you receive a notification that we're live, and then you can simply click on the notification and immediately start watching the live broadcast, those are the two steps you need to take. And we'll go into this in detail on Wednesday. Beyond that, we're not entirely sure on the time that it's going to be. Right now, it looks like there's a good chance it's going to be 5 p.m. Pacific time each day. That would be then 8 p.m. in New York for those of you around the world who can measure time based on the location, the time in New York City. It would be 8 p.m. there. That's Eastern time here in the United States. And then for those of you way out east, that means 9 a.m. in Beijing, in Guangzhou, in Shanghai, and in Taipei. 9 a.m. each day is when we're looking at doing this. I'll let you know if the time changes. So of course, Wednesday's lecture, we're going to talk more about the personal sacred sounds and how you receive those. We're going to talk every detail about the Holy Season course and show you how to sign up on YouTube, how to subscribe, how to receive notifications, and how to prepare so that you can participate live, and then show you how to watch the recording afterwards to make sure that everyone is able to enliven these sacred toes of creation. Okay, everyone. This is an exciting period of time. The Holy Season is always a great period of time every year, but this one is going to be especially great, especially beneficial, especially significant, enlivening the great wave, enlivening the golden form. Okay, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I will speak with you again on Wednesday.